Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. It was supposed to be another boring summer. Mia, Leo, and Ava sat on the worn-down porch of their grandma's old house, the kind of place where time seemed to move slower, the kind of place where summer felt like it stretched on forever. But this summer, something different was about to happen. The rumors started about a week ago. People were whispering about the reappearance of an old amusement park. Most claimed it was nothing more than an urban legend, a forgotten relic of their town, history that popped up out of nowhere every few years. The park had been closed for decades, but there were always stories about it. Stories of mysterious disappearances and eerie happenings. Mia didn't believe in any of that nonsense. At 16, she was way too old for ghost stories. Leo, on the other hand, couldn't get enough of them. At 14, he was curious about everything and loved to push boundaries. And little Eva, 10 and full of imagination, was in her own world half the time, often daydreaming about magical lands and fantastic creatures. Let's go check it out. Leo suggested one lazy afternoon. He had that gleam in his eye, the one that meant trouble. Mia rolled her eyes. It's probably just some old carnival that's just reopened. Nothing special. But what if it's in real? Eva whispered, her wide eyes reflecting the excitement she felt. Harry, what if it's a magical park? Please, Mia sighed. Yes, there's no such thing as magic. Come on, Mia, Leo pleaded. A little adventure never hurt anyone. Against her better judgment, Mia found herself standing in front of the park's entrance later that evening. The gate loomed tall and rusted with faded signs advertising long-forgotten attraction. The amusement park did indeed appear out of nowhere. One moment the field beyond town was empty. The next this relic of the past stood before them, gates creaking in the wind. An ominous fog rolled in as the sun dipped below the horizon, giving everything a surreal glow. Okay, muttered, trying to hide her unease. Chelsea will take a quick look, and then we leave. The siblings pushed through the creaky gates instantly. They were greeted by the sound of distant music, an old-fashioned carousel tune playing faintly in the background. The park was empty, yet lights flickered on in the distance, as if inviting them further inside. Eva reached for Mia's hand, her small fingers trembling tight. I can't hide this place. It's just old. Mia reassured her, though. Her own voice wavered slightly. Dear, let's not wander too far. But Leo, as always, had other plans. Why you look, he called out, running ahead to a towering carousel in the center of the park. The horses were still frozen in mid-gallop, but the lights flickered and spun, casting long shadows on the ground. To read, this thing is ancient. Come on, let us ride it. No one said, pulling Eva closer. You were not getting on that. Leo was already climbing onto one of the horses. Surgery was the worst that could happen. The carousel creaked to life, spinning slowly at first, then faster and faster. Before Mia could even shout at Leo to get off, the ground beneath her feet shifted. The whole world seemed to tilt and swirl like they were caught in the center of a tornado. The music grew louder, more chaotic, as the lights blurred into streaks of color. Then everything stopped. Mia blinked, trying to get her bearings. The park was gone, replaced by something different. The carousel had vanished, and in its place was a sprawling, fantastical landscape. Towering trees with silver leaves swayed in the wind, and the air hummed with an energy that made Mia's skin tingle. The siblings were no longer in the amusement park. They had somehow crossed into a completely different world. Where are we? Eva asked, her voice barely a whisper. Leo jumped off his horse, grinning. Mia wasn't so sure. Her instincts told her something was very wrong. How we need to leave now. But there was no gate, no exit. The amusement park had vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, and in its place was a magical world filled with wonders and dangers they couldn't even begin to understand. They had no choice but to move forward. As they walked, strange creatures darted in and out of the trees, glimpses of creatures Mia couldn't treat quite play. A flutter of wings here, the glint of eyes in the darkness. Every step they took brought them deeper into this enchanted world. The sky above was a deep indigo with unfamiliar constellations twinkling far off in the distance. Time felt different here, slower and more deliberate. Suddenly, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a grand old-fashioned house made entirely of mirrors. Its surface reflected the strange world around it, distorting the landscape into something even more bizarre. "We were supposed to go in there, aren't we, series?" Leo asked, already stepping forward. "Wait," Mia grabbed his arm. "Sorry, we don't know what's inside." "Maybe it's the way out," Leo said, his voice filled with excitement rather than fear. "Come on, it's worth a shot." Reluctantly, Mia led the way. The moment they stepped inside, the door behind them vanished, replaced by yet another mirror. Inside the house was an endless maze of reflective surfaces. Every direction looked the same, and soon the siblings were separated, each lost in their own part of the labyrinth. Mia's heart pounded as she realized she was alone. The mirrors showed distorted versions of herself, some younger, some older, all of them strange and unfamiliar. She called out for Leo and Eva, but her voice echoed endlessly through the maze. She needed to think this place wasn't tight, just a maze that was designed to mess with their mind. Mia stood still, focusing on the reflections, looking for any clue that might help. "We don't say, late." It smiled when she wasn't teased, and its eyes followed her movements with a sinister glint. "Who are you?" Mia whispered, backing away from the mirror. The reflection stepped forward, out of the glass becoming solid and real. It was her, but not her. This version of Mia was cruel, with a mocking smile that twisted her features. "You think you can protect them?" the reflection taunted, "or you can barely protect yourself." Mia clenched her fist. "I am as real as you are," the reflection said, circling her. "You were scared. You were always scared. You think if you can control everything, you can keep them safe, but you can't." Mia's chest tightened. The reflection was saying everything she feared deep down, the thoughts she never let herself acknowledge, but she couldn't let it win. She had to find her sibling. "I may be scared," Mia said, her voice steady and cheery, "but I am not weak." With that, she reached out and shattered the reflection with a single punch. The glass exploded around her, and the maze shifted. The mirrors parted, creating a clear path. Mia wasted no time running through the maze until she found her sibling. Leo was sitting on the floor, staring at a broken reflection of himself. I couldn't hear it out. He read, he mumbled, his voice small and defeated. "It showed me things I didn't want to see." Mia knelt beside him, putting a hand on his shoulder. "Scoretson. It's just messing with our heads. We need to stick together." Eva appeared a moment later, her face pale but determined. "Surely I found a way out." Mia stood up, brushing shards of glass from her hands. "I'll show us the way, Eva," she said, her voice calm but urgent. Eva led them through a series of mirrors that seemed to bend and shift as they walked, the reflections twisting into unfamiliar shapes before snapping back to normal. The path she had found was narrow and winding, but somehow it felt right. Mia couldn't explain it, but she trusted her sister's instinct. Soon, the three siblings emerged from the House of Mirrors and found themselves back in the strange, magical world. The sky above had darkened, and a soft, shimmering mist floated through the air. It was quiet, too, quiet, as if the world was holding its breath. Mia took a deep breath and surveyed their surroundings. They had entered a new part of the park, a section that resembled a menagerie. Tall cages lined the area, some made of vines, others of stone. Inside the cages were magical creatures Mia had never imagined could exist. There were glowing birds with feathers like fire, a massive griffin with golden wings, and smaller creatures that scurried and darted in the shadow. Leo's eyes widened in awe. These animals, they were incredible. Eva approached one of the cages, her eyes locked on a tiny creature with shimmering wings. "They re-trapped," she whispered, her voice thick with sadness. "Dears, we have to help them." Mia was about to respond when a voice interrupted her. "You're not the first to think you can free them." The siblings whirled around to see a figure standing in the shadow. It was the park keeper, their form indistinct, their face hidden beneath the hood. They seemed to materialize from the mist, their presence unsettling and cold. "You've entered the park, size heart," the park keeper continued, their voice echoing eerily. "These creatures were captured long ago, bound by the magic of this place. To free them, you must complete the challenges, but beware, once you begin, there's no turning back." Mia squared her shoulders. We were not afraid of your challenges. The park keeper smiled, though it didn't reach their eyes. Trennis, you should be. Without another word, the park keeper vanished into the mist, leaving the siblings alone with the menagerie of magical creatures. Mia felt a cold shiver run down her spine, but she shook it off. Here we've come this far. We can stop now. As if in response, the creature's eyes glowed, and the air around them shifted. The glowing symbol appeared in front of the cage, hovering in the air. Mia recognized it instantly. It was a puzzle, a complex series of interconnected shapes and runs. She could see how they fit together, but it was more intricate than anything she had ever seen before. It's a test, Slethano said, stepping forward. We have to solve it. Mia nodded. We need to work together. Eva, you guide us, Leo. Keep an eye out for anything strange. Eva reached out, tentatively touching one of the glowing rounds. It shifted under her fingers, rearranging the pattern slightly. Mia watched, her mind racing as she tried to understand the logic behind the puzzle. Slowly but surely, they began to piece it together, each move revealing more of the intricate design. Just as they were about to finish, the ground beneath them trembled. The cages rattled, and the creatures inside let out terrified cries. Mia, silence. Heart pounded in her chest as she glanced around. Something was coming, something big. Hurry, she urged, her voice sharp. Eva's fingers moved faster, her brow furrowed in concentration. With a final click, the puzzle snapped into place, and the cage door swung open. The creature with the shimmering wings flew out, circling the siblings before disappearing into the sky. For a moment, everything was still. Then the ground shook again, hard this time. The mist parted, and out of the shadows emerged a massive, hulking figure, a creature that looked like a cross between a minotaur and a dragon, with horns curling from its head and glowing red eyes. It stomped toward them, each step sending tremors through the earth. Leo grabbed a stick from the ground, holding it like a sword. Train, what the hell is that? The park says, defense mechanism, Mia said through gritted teeth. Need it, see trying to stop us. The creature let out a deafening roar, and without hesitation, it charged. Mia didn't have time to think. She pushed Leo and Eva behind her, bracing herself for the impact. But just as the creature was about to strike, a streak of golden light shot across the sky. The griffin they had seen earlier swooped down, claws extended, and slammed into the creature. The two beasts clashed in a flurry of teeth and talons. The siblings could only watch as the griffin fought with all its might, trying to keep the monstrous guardian at bay. But it was clear the griffin was struggling. This wasn't a fight. It could win alone. We have to help it. Eva cried, her voice desperate. Mia scanned their surroundings, her mind racing. There had to be something they could do. Her eyes fell on a pedestal near the center of the menagerie, where a glowing orb floated above it. She didn't know what it was, but it pulsed with power, and instinct told her it was important. Leo, Eva, get to that orb. Mia shouted, but I'll distract the creature. Without waiting for a response, Maya ran toward the guardian beast, shouting and waving her arm. The creature's red eyes locked onto her, and it turned away from the griffin, charging at her instead. Mia's heart pounded in her chest as the creature barreled toward her, its claws tearing through the earth. She dodged to the side just as it lunged, barely avoiding its massive jaws. She kept moving, drawing the creature further away from her sibling. Eva, Leo yelled from behind her. Eva reached the orb and placed her hands on it. A surge of energy rippled through the air, and the orb began to glow brighter, its light spreading across the menagerie. The creature let out a furious roar, but it was too late. The light enveloped it, freezing it in place. The griffin, now freed from the fight, let out a triumphant screech as the guardian beast disintegrated into dust. Mia collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavily. The battle was over, but the challenges were far from finished. Leo and Eva rushed to her side. Are you okay? Hey, Leo asked, helping her up. Mia nodded, though her body ached from the effort. Here, we need to keep moving. The park isn't going to stop until we free all the creatures. They spent the next few hours working together, solving puzzles and freeing the magical creatures from their cages. With each challenge they completed, the park's grip on the magical world weakened. The menagerie slowly transformed from a place of captivity to one of freedom. The creatures they had freed flying or bounding into the sky, their joyful cries echoing through the air. But as they neared the final cage, the park keeper reappeared, their form more menacing than before. You think you've won? They hissed. The Winniwasak Park isn't just a gateway to the magical world. It is the magical world, and Yvette disrupted its balance. Mia stepped forward, her voice steady. We didn't come here to upset the balance. We came to free the creatures Yvette imprisoned. The park keeper sneered. They were not imprisoned. They were protected. This world is dangerous. More dangerous than you can imagine. By freeing them, Yvette unleashed chaos. We did what was right, Mia said firmly. The park keeper's eyes gleamed. Then you will face the consequences. With a wave of their hand, the park keeper summoned a storm of magic, dark clouds swirling overhead. Lightning crackled through the sky, and the ground began to tremble once more. But this time, Mia wasn't afraid. She reached out, grabbing her siblings' hands together. They faced the storm head-on, their bond unbreakable. As the magic surged toward them, a golden light enveloped the siblings, the power of the creatures they had freed. The park keeper's magic collided with the light, but the siblings stood strong, their unity more powerful than any spell. With a final burst of energy, the storm dissipated, and the park keeper vanished into the mist, defeated. The amusement park began to fade, the magical world dissolving around them. But instead of fear, Mia felt a sense of peace. They had done what they came to do. They had freed the creatures and restored balance to the world. As the last remnants of the park disappeared, the siblings found themselves back where they had started, standing in the field just outside of town. The sky was clear, the sun rising on a new day. Mia looked at her siblings and smiled. Eva gazed up at the sky, her eyes full of wonder. Turi, do you think the park will ever come back? Leo shrugged. Maybe, but if it does, we'll be ready. Mia nodded, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over her. They had faced the impossible and come out stronger. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And for now, that was enough.